Hi, Thomasboro. Miss Bean misses you so much. I hope you're having a great break. And I can't wait to see you whenever we're able to go back to school. But know that we are thinking about you and we love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Today, I'm going to read Amelia Bedelia's First Apple Pie. Amelia Bedelia was visiting her grandparents. It was a glorious autumn afternoon, the perfect day to rake leaves into piles and run around the yard. Fall is in the air, said Granddad. Granddad and Amelia Bedelia looked up. So are the birds, said Amelia Bedelia. V? W? What are they trying to spell? Just then, Amelia Bedelia's grandma came outside. Quick, said Granddad, look busy. But it was too late. Hey, lazy bones, Grandma said jokingly. If you're just going to stand around, I've got a job for you. What do you need? Granddad asked. Apples, said Grandma. I made pie dough. If you'll get some apples, I can teach Amelia Bedelia how to bake an apple pie. Grandma's apple pie was Amelia Bedelia's favorite. Hooray, she yelled. Race you to the car. She started to run, but tripped over a branch and landed right in a pile of leaves. Whoosh! How was your trip? Asked Granddad as he helped her up. Fun, she said. Fall is in the air. On the ground, too. Granddad smiled. Watch your step. Amelia Bedelia tried to watch her step, but it made her so dizzy to look down at her feet all the time. Amelia Bedelia and Granddad were already in the car when Grandma called out, Be sure to pick up Granny Smith. Who is Granny Smith? Is she helping us make the pie? Amelia Bedelia asked. You bet, said Granddad. We couldn't do it without her. Amelia Bedelia and Granddad drove out into the country. Your supermarket is far away, said Amelia Bedelia. We aren't going to the supermarket, said Granddad. We will get our apples from the farmer's market. What? Asked Amelia Bedelia. Do we need to buy a farmer? No, Granddad said, laughing. Their apples are much fresher. Apples are good for me, right? Asked Amelia Bedelia. Oh, yes, said Granddad. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. They're good for your teeth, too. Folks call them nature's toothbrush. Hey, Granddad, said Amelia Bedelia. If I eat an apple a day, I won't have to go to the doctor or dentist ever again? Granddad smiled. I wish it worked that way, Pumpkin, he said. Granddad picked up a bright green apple, polished it on his jacket, and tossed it to Amelia Bedelia. Nice catch, he said. Meet Granny Smith. Amelia Bedelia took a loud, crunchy bite. Granny is yummy, he said. Bushels, baskets overflowed with red, yellow, orange, pink, and green apples. Some apples wore stripes or spots and splotches. The colors reminded Amelia Bedelia of autumn. While Granddad chose apples to buy, Amelia Bedelia read the names out loud. One kind was called Delicious, but they all looked tasty to her. When they got home, Grandma went right to work, coring and peeling the apples. Amelia Bedelia measured the peels to see which one was the longest. Grandma cut each apple into 2 pieces, then into 4, and then into 8. Finally, she sprinkled sugar and cinnamon onto the slices. Next, Grandma pulled out all of her pie pans, hunting for just the right one. Amelia Bedelia found a tiny pan. Is this a toy? She asked. No, Grandma said. It's a real pie pan. It's just really small. Here is the one I want. Now, please let me flour. Please get me a little flour, Sugar Plum. Amelia Bedelia spied a small flower on the windowsill, and she picked it up. Here you go, Grandma, she said. Thanks, sweetie, said Grandma. Then she showed Amelia Bedelia where she kept the flour she was baking. Grandma rolled out enough dough. It got flatter and thinner and rounder and bigger until Grandma said, "Careful, watch your fingers." Amelia Bedelia took her hands off the table. She watched her fingers very carefully. They looked pretty boring. She wondered why she had to do this to make an apple pie. Now, we need to sprinkle of flour, said Grandma. Amelia Bedelia reached into the sack of flour, grabbed a handful, and sprinkled it all over their heads. Grandma laughed. Not on us, on the dough. Amelia Bedelia sprinkled some on the dough. At last, said Grandma, we're ready to put the pie together, and that's exactly what Grandma and Amelia Bedelia did. Then, Grandma popped the pie into the oven, set a timer, and started to clean up the kitchen. That's when Amelia Bedelia had an idea. She took the leftover dough and rolled it into 2 circles. She put one in the little pie pan, filled it with extra apples, and plopped the other on top. Then, she crimped the edges around. A smidgen of dough was left. She made a little flower, a tiny daisy to decorate the top. Your mom and dad will be here soon, said Grandma. Then we'll have a pie party. Yippee, said Amelia Bedelia. Granddad heard the commotion and came into the kitchen. What are we celebrating? He asked. Honey, said Grandma, Amelia Bedelia made her first apple pie. After Grandma took her pie out of the oven, Amelia Bedelia carefully and secretly slid hers in. I'm going to set this outside to cool. It was time to get ready for the party. Grandma hummed as she set the table. Soon, Granddad was whistling the same tune. Outside, the birds were chirping and tweeting and singing like mad. Listen, said Amelia Bedelia. It sounds like the birds are having a party, too. My pie! Yelled Grandma. They all ran outside. The pie was covered with birds. Scram! Hollered Grandma. Shoo! Shoo! Amelia Bedelia took off her shoe and handed it to Grandma, but it was too late. Our pie, said Amelia Bedelia. Gone, said Grandma. Just then, Amelia Bedelia's parents arrived. Amelia Bedelia's dad stared at the empty pie pan. Gee, you couldn't have waited for us? The birds ate our pie, said Amelia Bedelia. What birds? Asked Mom. I think they were swallows. They sure were, said Amelia Bedelia. They swallowed the whole thing. Well, sweetheart, said Amelia Bedelia's mother, let's imagine how good it would have tasted while we eat our ice cream. The whole family tried to enjoy the ice cream and not think about the pie, but that was impossible. We made the best pie, said Amelia Bedelia. It was a thing of beauty, said Grandma. It would have been delicious, said Granddad. It was a perfect pie, said Amelia Bedelia. Her lower lip trembled. She let out a sob. You know, said Amelia Bedelia's father, just hearing you talk about the pie makes me think I can smell fresh baked pie coming out of the oven. My pie! Exclaimed Amelia Bedelia. She forgot she left it in the oven. They raced to the kitchen. Grandma took the tiny pie out of the oven and set it on the table. There it was, bubbling, hot, and baked to perfection. They all gathered around and gazed as though it was a brand new baby. It's absolutely perfect, said Amelia's mother. Just like Grandma, said Granddad. Only smaller, said Amelia. And you made it all by yourself, said Grandma. This time, said Amelia Bedelia's father, let's let the pie cool down inside the house. But no one could wait. Grandma cut tiny pieces for everyone. She took one bite and declared, "This is the best apple pie I have ever tasted." Amelia Bedelia's smile was so big that it was hard for her to eat. "Thank you, Grandma," she said, "and thank you, Granny." "Granny? Who?" said Amelia Bedelia's mother. "Granny Smith," said Amelia Bedelia. "She made all the apples in the first place." The end. I hope to see you soon. I miss you. Have a great day, and I love you.